Good to see you. Yeah. All right, how are we doing this, guys? Am I here, I guess?
Yes.
All right.
Get the camera.
Camera set.
And guys, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
How you doing?
Good to see you. Yeah.
I was Silas Rosser.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Ryan Murphy.
Good to see you guys.
Aaron Rosser.
All right, have a seat. I just want to shut that door back there. Get going. Well, welcome to Governor's office.
Yeah, I'd like to extend my gratitude for you accepting this interview. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and
Well,
we are very
glad
grateful.
you guys could come. Appreciate it.
So, you just want to dive right into it?
Yeah.
All right. So, Governor, who were your biggest influences in your life when you were young?
Well, I think for me, my parents and my 4 grandparents. All my grandparents lived in the small village where I grew up in, Yellow Springs, and so they were certainly a big influence. And I think some of my teachers, I had one English teacher, and she was, influential, and an American history teacher. So, those were certainly some of the people that had an impact on me.
Right.
What values or lessons did your parents instill in you that you still carry today?
Well, our family ran a small seed company, so we were a wholesale company that sold seeds to farmers' elevators, and they in turn sold them to farmers, and so it was a small business. So if you're in a small business, one of the things that you have to do is work very hard. And so I started working at the seed company probably when I was 12 years old, 13 years old, and so I think the work ethic and that's very, very important. I think another thing that I took away from that experience is you have to take care of your customers. So for me, it's my constituents, but you have to try to help them with whatever problem they have. I mean, I remember my grandmother, she was on the phone, she ran the office, and many times she'd get some of the customers that call and say, well, we need so many bags of this seed or so many bags of that seed, and she'd make sure that they got it by the time that they needed. So it's that kind of customer service as well as that work ethic.
All right. What originally inspired you to run for a public office position?
Well, nobody in my family ever ran for public office. No one in my immediate family. But they talked about current events. They talked about what was going on in government at the dinner table and other times. So I think my family was always interested in government. I got involved almost by chance when I got out of law school. Actually, between my second and third year of law school, I worked for a lawyer in Greene County, and then he turned around and actually ran for prosecuting attorney and won. And so after I graduated and I passed the bar exam, he offered me a job as an assistant county prosecutor. So I started my career as an assistant county prosecuting attorney, and then from there I ran for the job of prosecutor. So that's how I first got into elective office.
So you've been in a lot of positions, right?
Yeah, quite a few.
What values did you learn the most at law school, would you say?
Well, I think in law school, what you find, or at least what I found, is they sort of teach you to think a different way. I mean, you think in the sense of how you analyze problems, and you have to apply the law and find out how the law actually works to a set of facts or a set of circumstances. And so that practice for 3 years in law school, you kind of look at things a little differently. I think there's many different backgrounds for elected officials. I served with a guy who was a heart surgeon. People have all kinds of different backgrounds, but being a lawyer, I think, gives you one perspective on things and helps you analyze things and do some critical analysis and critical thinking. So I think that's one of the things.
So, Governor, what do you like to do in your free time when you're not doing politics?
Yeah, so I like to spend time with my family. So, for example, this last weekend we drove out to Green Bay, Wisconsin, watched the Bengals play Green Bay. We had, one of my sons was with me, and we had 3 grandchildren. So, you know, we kind of combine doing things like that, and we usually have family with us. So, you know, we had some of the grandkids were with us, and we had a nice time, even though the Bengals lost, but it was a good experience to that. So, you know, we just like to do things together as a family. Sometimes we go fishing. This afternoon, for example, I'll leave a little early and go watch. I've got 2 of my grandchildren who are running cross country. One's in middle school, one's in high school. So I'll go to Springfield and watch them run late this afternoon. So it's things like that.
So would you say that your experiences, like with your family running a small business, kind of turned you into like a family man?
Well, I don't know if that turned me into a family man, but certainly was a family business. You know, 2 of my grandparents were involved in it, my great uncle, my uncle, my mom, my dad. So, yeah, we kind of did that as a family. But I think, you know, family is very important. You know, I was actually am an only child, but my wife was one of 6. She and I met in 1st grade, had our first date in 7th grade. She decided to go to Miami University, so I kind of followed her there. And, you know, we got married between our 2nd and 3rd year at Miami. We had 2 children before we left Miami. So, you know, our life has been really focused on really 2 things. One is, you know, what I'm doing, you know, in my job, running for office. But the other, of course, has been our family. We've always had a big focus on family.
Were there any mentors who guided you early in your political career?
We had a local county sheriff, and his name was Russ Bradley, and I kind of patterned how I campaigned after him because he was a real people person, and he would go out and knock on doors and talk with people, and he just, you know, he was really about going out and meeting people. So I kind of took that as my political example. The person I actually followed and kind of emulated what he did.
Okay.
What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced starting out in politics?
Well, I think the first challenge is you got to win. You know, so, you know, I ran against a guy who was the elected county prosecutor, so I was the challenger. He was the incumbent. So my wife and I, we went out and knocked on thousands and thousands of doors. The next job I had was state senate. I also ran against the incumbent. So that's always tough, run against the guy or the woman who's in office, and I was able to win that race. So I think the biggest challenge you first face is you've got to get there. You know, you can't do the good that you want to do or change the things that you want to change unless you're actually in office. So to me, that's the biggest challenge.
So, Governor,
Come on, Dolly. Come on. You're okay. Come on. Here, take your leash off. Come on. This is my dog, Dolly. She follows me around most days. I was over giving a speech, so she had to stay here. So now she's back. She has found me. So go ahead.
if you wouldn't have gone into politics, what career path would you
Well,
take?
what I thought I was going to do was I thought I was going to be a school teacher and teach social studies because I got my degree in education, and I actually student taught at Princeton High School, but then didn't ever really teach because I went on to law school. So that's what I thought I was going to do.
What does being governor of Ohio mean to you personally?
Well, you know, I've wanted to be governor for, you know, decades, and the reason I wanted to be governor is because that's really where the action is. You get the opportunity to really make a difference. I think the best thing about being governor is you can see a problem and then you have the ability at least to work on it. Doesn't mean you always get everything done you want, but you have the ability to say, okay, I'm going to go work on this issue. And then you also, when the governor starts talking about issues, then everybody has to kind of focus on those issues. Again, they may disagree with you, they may agree with you, but if you're talking about it, you're focusing on it. So it's the ability to kind of say, these are important issues. We should be talking about this. We should address this problem. That's what makes it fun.
The groundbreaking ceremony that we had a few months ago at AHS, what really inspired you to go there, or what made you decide that you were going to attend the groundbreaking ceremony?
Well, you know, I like to go to places that are doing innovative things, new things, you know, particularly places where we've been involved in some way with some state money. One of the things you find is that the governor, by going someplace, can show people what's important. So sometimes we're going to schools where they've switched over to the science of reading and we want to talk about that. Sometimes it's, you know, we're going to schools where there's a new clinic that's been put in. But, you know, the things that I am pushing for, you know, when we see that occurring someplace or we hear about it, then, you know, I can't be everywhere, I can't go to every event, but if it kind of coincides with that and I'm able to do it, I try to do it.
What has been the most rewarding part of serving the people of Ohio?
Well, I think that, you know, being able to see a problem and try to get things done. I mean, for example, you know, when I was in the state senate many years ago, a grandfather came to me and his grandson had just been killed. He was a 7-year-old boy. A little boy got off his school bus literally in front of the school, and a guy riding this is in the morning, a guy riding a motorcycle comes around. The guy's been drinking, and he hit the little boy and he killed him. So I never forget the grandfather came to me and he says, you know, you just need to try to do something so that other families don't suffer this. And so I researched all the drunk driving laws in the whole world, literally, and came up with a new drunk driving law in Ohio that was a tougher law, and we were able to get a pass. Now that law's been changed some since then, but you know, I was able to take that grandfather's grief and his sorrow and turn that into something positive that we were able to, you know, save lives. You know, distracted driving in Ohio. We wanted to make it what's called a primary offense. The way the old law was that no one could be charged with distracted driving, you know, unless they were doing something else. So putting a focus on distracted driving, we've seen the auto fatalities from distracted driving go down. So these are the type things that, you know, as governor, you can focus on. Before the drunk driving bill, that was when I was in the state senate, but in every office I've held, you know, I've found that there are things that you can do that do impact people.
So, Governor, what has been your toughest decision that you've had to make while in office?
Well, I think the toughest decisions probably were the decisions that we made during COVID, because we didn't have a lot of information. We tried to get as much information as we can, but those were frankly the toughest decisions.
So, with that and the COVID, how did you handle the criticism during that? And now, how do you handle the criticism from the media while you're governor?
Well, you know, criticism is part of the job. And now, of course, with social media, you know, people can post all kinds of things. That just goes out to the world. But look, that's part of the job. You know, you've got to be willing to make the decisions and then stand by them and accept whatever the criticism is. It's kind of part of what we do. What else, guys?
How did you balance your personal beliefs with what's best for your constituents?
The public, how do you?
Public.
Yeah, I mean, personal beliefs and how I balance that. You know, I think that when you run for office, you don't know all the facts. You don't know what circumstances are going to come up, but you do sort of know what you believe. And so, you know, for example, during COVID, one of the overriding concerns I had was people's safety. You know, that's part of the job of the governor is to keep people as safe as possible. And so that was one of the basic things that I felt. I think that if you're an elected official, you can't always be taking a poll and decide, you know, how am I going to do this? If I'm in the legislature, how am I going to vote? Or if I'm governor, what am I going to do based on what the public opinion polls are? Now, I have an obligation to hear people, what they have to say, and try to find out what people are thinking. But ultimately, the decision has to be mine. I'm the one that's been elected. I'm the one that makes the decision. And frankly, in many cases, I'm the one that's looking at all the facts. But my obligation to the public is to listen. It doesn't mean you got one person saying do this, one person saying do that. Well, obviously, you know, somebody's gonna be upset, but that's just part of what we do. I'm supposed to listen, but ultimately the decision's mine. You won't hear me say, look, I made that decision because, you know, 51% of the voters in a poll I saw said that was good. That's not a good rationale. You have to ultimately make the decision yourself, because I'm the one who got elected. What else, guys?
Governor, your next meeting is ready.
Okay, we'll give these guys about 5 more minutes. So.
How do you stay connected with everyday Ohioans when leaving the state?
Yeah, I'm out with people all the time. I mean, you know, I don't just spend my time in my office or at my house. I mean, I'm out a lot. I'm out virtually every day. And if it's not an official event, I'm out, as I said, at cross-country meets, track meets, I'm out at softball games. My grandkids are playing all kinds of different sports. So I'm out all the time. And I see people all the time. And even this weekend, for example, you know, when we went to Green Bay, Wisconsin, there was a bunch of Bengals fans there. I ran into a lot of them, and even ran into some on the rest areas on the way back. So as we were driving back, so I'm out a lot, and that just I think keeps me grounded. I think the other thing that keeps me grounded, frankly, is I have, you know, grandkids. The oldest is 32, the youngest is 1. But just, you know, talking with them, particularly the older ones, you know, I can see what's influencing them. I have a better understanding of social media. I have a better understanding of some of the things that they're looking at and some of the things that they're dealing with. So again, that's one of the ways I stay in contact with people.
So looking back on your career, is there anything you would have done differently?
Sure. I mean, you know, we all have lists, I guess, in our head of different things that we would have done differently. You know, I'm not going to get into them today, but sure, we all make mistakes. I mean, you can't make thousands of decisions. I made thousands of decisions, and so some of these decisions you make, and then later on you think, well, you know, maybe I made the wrong decisions. Yeah, it's part of life.
So finally, the last question I have for you, Governor, is what advice would you give to young people like us who want to truly make a difference?
Well, I think you can make a difference no matter what kind of job you have. There's no one job that, you know, some jobs, obviously, you have more influence. If you're a teacher, you're going to impact thousands of kids during your career. You know, if you're a nurse, you're directly dealing with patients every single day. But no matter what your job is, you know, you can also be involved in, I'd say in politics. It doesn't mean you have to run for office, but you know, you can be involved as an informed citizen, showing up at the council meeting, showing up at the school board meeting. You can run for school board. I mean, the thing in Ohio is we have so many offices that are open that people could run for and serve in those offices, if that's the way they want to do it. But everybody has the opportunity some way to influence what's going on in their community. You know, it could be as little as, you know, going to the officials and saying, hey, this is a dangerous road out here. Can't you guys do something about it? Or we've got this problem here in school. You know, all of those things are ways that people can be involved. So my recommendation, just be active, be engaged, keep thinking about what's going on. No matter what your job is, you can still talk to people in office, or you can run for office. There's no job that precludes you really from running for office. And sometimes you'll find there aren't too many people running for an office. You know, school boards, sometimes there aren't too many people running. Sometimes city council, you know, sometimes they can't get enough people to run for council. So, you know, you raise your hand, fill out the forms and get the signatures and you're on the ballot. You know. Always great opportunities out there. What else?
I've got, well, this would be my final question, but if you could like share any one message with the world that's like the most important to you, what would it be?
Well, what we try every day, and we work towards, and I think it's a goal that everybody can have, is we want everybody to live up to their full potential. And so that's why we focus a lot on education, we focus a lot on early childhood development. You know, those are things. Everybody, you know, what I want for my kids, still do, but also my grandkids now, is for them to find something they can get into, something they get excited about. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be welding, it could be being a doctor, it can be all kinds of different things. Stuff you do with your hands, it can be something that you do just with your head. I mean, what you find is with a lot of the jobs where people say you're using your hands, you're certainly using your head even more than your hands. But you know, whatever their job is, I want them to find something they really want to do and get excited about and like doing. You know.
Oh, can you share a moment when you truly felt you made a difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think I talked about the drunk driving bill. I thought we made a difference. When I was in Congress, I put a lot of focus on children's health issues. We got a law passed that really caused a lot of the drug companies to do getting more drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, to save people's lives, having more of those tested for kids. Many times they weren't doing that because it cost too much money, and we passed a bill that, you know, really pushed them to do that. So we know that lives were saved because of that. So it's that type of thing that you get done, and you know, in the case, for example, of the distracted driving or the drunk driving, I'll never know how many lives have been saved, but I do know statistically that, you know, we know we're saving lives. Those people who would have been dead don't know that, and I won't know who they are, but you know, when you can do something and you're saving lives and that continues year after year, that's something that you know, it brings a lot of satisfaction.
All right.
Okay,
Okay.
I think that's it.
Guys, let's get a picture up here. Stand by my desk here. Come on.
Yes, sir.
For me? We can do it behind the desk if that's where you want.
I can move these out of the way.
Okay.
Have it face that way.
Okay. Come on, guys, let's stand back here.
Here, you want to come in the middle?
Yeah, sure. Well, let's get everybody first. And then
Okay.
everybody
Here, Ron, come stand over here so the team, because.
Alex out here, guys.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm sorry. You know how to do it. I just tell you.
Okay.
And then let's just get the four of
Okay,
us.
that's fine. Or you guys want to?
And then individual.
Yep. Okay, come on over. Okay.
Perfect.
Any other way? We got them all? Here, as I'll show you something over here. So when you're in the U.S. Senate, I was in the U.S. Senate for 12 years. The members put their names in the desk, and so you can see how many people had that particular desk. So they started doing this here. So you'll see this has got Bob Taft, he was governor. George Voinovich, he was governor. Nancy Collins, she's unique. She was governor 10 days because Governor Vornovich got elected to the U.S. Senate, so he resigned early to take the office. And so she was over here. Over here you've got Ted Strickland. Ted Strickland, he signed his name down the corner. I haven't signed mine yet.
So you will be signing your
Oh, yeah. Not every governor has done it, but this desk is also interesting. So when Abraham Lincoln was elected president, of course, in November of 1860, the South was starting to make noises about leaving the Union, and Lincoln wanted to make sure that he had the North unified. And so, he was from Illinois, and so he left his home in Springfield, Illinois, got on a train to go to Washington to be sworn in. He went a little early, and he didn't just go straight there. It was a number of days, and he stopped at a lot of different places, because he wanted to keep these North unified. And so, in Ohio, he stopped in Cleveland, he stopped in Columbus, and he stopped also in Cincinnati, and then he made a few other stops. Just to talk off the back of the train as he was going through the state. But when he got here, he gave a speech to all the members of the General Assembly. He gave a speech to all of them. Then he came down here and met with Governor Dennison. The governor's name then was Dennison, his last name. And while Lincoln was talking to the governor at this desk, a telegram arrived from Washington. And that was the day that Congress had counted the electoral votes, and they officially had declared that he was going to be the president. So he got the telegram right here in this room saying that he knew he was going to be elected, or he thought he was going to be elected, but it wasn't really official until Congress actually counted the votes and certified it. So this is referred to as the Lincoln desk, even though it wasn't really his desk. It was the same desk where Lincoln was. As he was talking to the governor. So you'll see over there a bust of Lincoln. Somebody put that in there a number of years ago. Lincoln there. So, anyway, so this room has been the governor's office since before the Civil War. This building was finished, this was the governor's office, and so it's remained as the governor's office. Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
I got one last question for you.
Yeah.
By any chance, do you have any challenge points?
Ah,
By any chance?
we might.
I have some.
Would you like to go find some challenge points? We might be able to do that.
I just want to say, I gotta thank you because you really helped my family during COVID because we'd always put on your broadcast.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Every time we had one because my parents were worried. Eventually we became more worried because.
Well, sure, because everybody's worried. Yeah, that's good. Well,
Thank you, Governor.
yeah, glad you guys
Thank you
could do
for-
this. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it very much. We'll see if she can find the challenge coins out there or not.
Yeah, thanks for allowing us to interview you.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Thank you, Governor.
You Governor.
Thank you, Governor.
See? Head back home now?
We have to work.
We have a tour.
Good, oh, good, good. All right. Come on out.
Learn some history.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Good.